Hey everyone, Josh here, and today we're going to unbox a 3 3/4 inch Black Series ATST, and this is a Walmart exclusive. And we're going to unbox this today, okay? But before we get that far, I just want to go ahead and spin the packaging around, let you guys take a look at it. It's some pretty nice packaging. So, of course, you have just the name of the item over here, and then on the back you have the vehicle description, and which is kind of rare for Black Series. They actually have some photographs of the item on the back here, and I'm going to go ahead and read the description to you. And one other kind of nice feature is on this packaging, and I actually wish they had it where you could read it, but they have what almost looks like a little blueprint on the side of the box labeling what the items on the walker are and things like that, but it's in that, and I apologize, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but the writing from the Star Wars movies that I cannot read. So, but real quick, I'm going to read the or the vehicle description on the back here. Imperial ATST Walker. The two-man ATST is a lightly armored walker featuring chain-mounted laser cannons, a side-mounted weapons pod. The two-legged transport, dubbed the Scout Walker by many, serves as a recon and patrol vehicle. And so, of course, most of you guys remember these vehicles from Return of the Jedi. They're, of course, prominently featured in the Battle of Endor at the later half of the movie. But if you have a sharp eye and you look really closely, they actually do appear briefly in The Empire Strikes Back on the assault on Hoth. Kind of in the background behind the Imperial AT walkers, you can actually see some of these walking across the snow in The Empire Strikes Back. But let's go ahead and cut it open and get it out of here. I'm kind of really excited about checking this thing out myself. This is one of my favorite vehicles from the StarArs universe. So I'm going to go ahead and get him out of here. I'm pretty excited about this. Okay. I'm going to pull the whole thing out. Looks like it's coming out in one piece. I was kind of hoping the walker would actually come out on its own, but it's all twist tied down here. And looks like most of it we can cut. Very good. I didn't want to have to undo a bunch of twist ties to get this guy out of here. But it's all rubber bands from what I'm seeing, and a little bit of string holding the main body in here. Okay. I apologize, guys. I had no idea this was going to be so much packaging on this thing. Okay. Very cool. I think he's loose. Let's see here. Whoops. Just pop the hatch off. Oh. Uno mas rubber band. Okay. Alright. Let me see if I can get this door I just popped off back on here. Okay. Very good. Very easy. Alright. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of the pieces out. You actually, of course, have the... And it appears like he's taped in. The ATST pilot as well, and he comes with what is a blaster. Looks like an E11 to me. Alright, and there we go. He is loose. And then, very interesting, what I'm seeing already is they have, it looks like another cannon system here that you have to install yourself. Oh, with projectiles. Very cool. So, oh, very interesting. I've never seen projectiles done like that before. They actually sink all the way into the barrel almost totally. You can barely kind of see them poking out there a little bit, but there it actually goes all the way in. I've never seen that before. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to put all this packaging to the side, and let's take a quick look at this guy. And very nice. So first thing I want to check out here is what is the deal with these cannons? Okay, so you can see the cannon is tucked under, and so you have to kind of pop it out here. And oops, you know what? I'm already seeing something. I left some rubber bands on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut those off. Looks like it's okay. It's wrapped around what would be the vehicle's neck. I'm trying to get it out of here. Okay. All right. So what do we have here? I'm trying to see what the deal is with this blaster, and it looks like, wow, okay, it just came out. I'm trying to understand how this thing works while we're figuring this out here. And wow, it looks like you should be able to push this blaster so it has more of an upward. That's as high as I can get it to go right now, and that's not really cool. So the reason you want to be able to pull it out is because you can replace it with the one that launches the missiles here. And so what you have, you'll see there's a little hole where the chin of the walker would be, and then on the whatever cannon you're going to put on, you can see there's a little peg or tab that you stick in there, and you can see, so you have two options to put in there, and what you have is the bigger cannon or the little cannon. And what was kind of confusing me is this little cannon, I would think it would be able to swivel all the way up, and what I'm actually starting to think is what you need to do is this. Okay, there you go. So you actually have to kind of pop it out of its little harness or its little bracket here, and they have it tucked underneath, so of course for the packaging reasons, well, you have to take it out, and if you don't, you can only, that's as far as up it'll go. So what you have to do is actually take it out, and there's like a little piece that prevents it from going all the way horizontal, and then there you go, you can do it. So then you can point down and up and everything. And so here's a closer look at this. It's like a smaller little blaster system. You got two double barrels up top, and looks like you got two smaller barrels on the bottom, and what may even appear to be three other extra barrels, or I'm not totally sure what those are supposed to be, but you have a whole cannon system here of smaller ones, and then you can swap that out for this one, which doesn't have as much mobility because you don't have that little bracket. But what you have here is a little button on the bottom here, and you saw me earlier put the actual projectiles in, so this larger cannon is going to shoot projectiles. So let's check that out while we have it out here and see what happens. Okay, so it's a dual fire. You're going to fire both of them at the same time, and you can see they don't look like missiles or anything like that. They're just gray little shafts, and they got little notches cut in them, so it can be clicked into the spring-loaded mechanism of the cannon. But it's just a larger cannon, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the larger cannon myself, so let's go ahead and put that in there. But before I do that, I actually want to put the smaller one back in, and there's a reason for that. So before we get too more in depth into this thing, and wow, I'm actually really glad it will stand on its own because it feels like it wants to fall over. What I have near me, I want to do a quick comparison for you guys to show you the difference between a Black Series and what I have here is a Power of the Force ATST walker. I bought this thing a long time ago, unboxed it, but you can see the difference in a Black Series versus a Power of the Force line. Now you can see there's a lot more detail in this guy. It's much more screen accurate. I mean, this thing looks like it just walked out of Return of the Jedi. Now where this thing, you know, it's very close, but in scale to the figures and everything, you can see how, for example, when you have action figures in here, you can only fit one figure in here, okay? Because it's much smaller compartment, and to be honest with you, I don't even know what's in here because I haven't opened it yet. So let's see what happens when you pop the... Okay, and here you go. So when you look inside the interior of this one, you can see there's actually two seats. You could put two figures in there, just like in the movie. If you remember, they had two pilots inside the the driver compartment. And then another thing that's just obvious is the size. If you look at them, you can see how the Black Series one is much bigger than the Power of the Force one, And see, for example, like when you want to look at the detailing in this thing, and I'm trying to, there's like a good example is the handrail that goes around the top. You can see it's actually here on this one, where here it's just like a molded little bump that is on the lid compartment. So, and then another thing I wanted to point out is like the difference in the cannons and what's on the side of the, oops, gotta get this one turned around. What's on the side of the, for the cannons. And then, for example, if you look at the eyes on this one, they're stickers. And if you remember from the movie, the driver compartments are actually little flaps that open. Those are actual flaps that you can see in there. So you can still buy these online, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what they're going for right now off the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, I think I paid around $30 for this thing. And if you shop around online or at clearance stores, you can probably find this thing for a lot cheaper than this, but its retail when it came out was about $65, and you can see the difference in what you get for paying $65 versus, you know, $30. Plus, one of the things, see, this thing feels like it wants to fall over on me. Okay, and I'm trying to get the legs to. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to understand how the legs work, guys, and I apologize. Because, for example, this one, the legs are, they just stay where they are. It does have this walking function, but it's kind of cheesy because it doesn't really work. So, but it doesn't appear to have that function on here. But for that one. But another thing I just want to show you guys really quick is the difference in the figures. So this is the Black Series figure here. And this is the Power of the Force figure. And you can see how, you know, this guy only has about 5 points of articulation, just the legs, the shoulders, and the head. Where this guy has got elbows that move, or they have articulation, but he's not moving on me. Okay. Okay, so if you look, this guy's got more articulation, but to be honest with you, he's being a little stiff on me right now. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pull him away from camera to fiddle with him. Because his arm has articulation. Okay, there we go. He's not exactly ready for action yet. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to get the articulation points on this guy to function. He's being a little stiff on me. I apologize. But just to show you the difference in the figures and the detailing and the scale and everything. And let's see here. I'm already curious. Does the helmet come off? Yes, it does. Very cool. Okay. So if you look at the driver, of course, the helmet comes off. The helmet does not come off on this guy. It's totally molded. But we're going to stop getting away from him for now. I just wanted to give you guys a comparison between the cheaper version and the more expensive version. But before we get any more in depth into this walker, I want to just have you guys check out the figure and see him up close. And real quick, I'll run through his movements so we can check him out here. But it just appears to be your average Imperial cadet. I don't think he's supposed to be a famous character or anything like that. And let's see here. You get a small E11. There's no detailing or highlighting on it. It's just all solid black. And so, again, as we saw, the helmet comes off. And let's real quick, I'm going to run through his movements here. So on his head, you should have rotation. And there's a little bit of up and down wiggle, but not a whole bunch. And then when you get to his shoulders here, you have up and down and around and round. At his elbow, he's just real stiff, guys. He's fresh out the box, so he needs a little working over. But you do have elbow, up and down, and rotation. And then at the wrist, you have rotation as well. And they put the point of articulation at where his gloves are, so that kind of hides it a little bit, which I always like when they do that. And going down to his torso here, you can see his point of articulation for his body is it's a little bit higher than his waist. It's about at his belly. And you can see you get a little forward and backwards bend, and you should get some rotation. And you can see he's wearing like some sort of harness, and I'm looking to see if that comes off, and it doesn't appear to be. But it's not molded to him. It's a loose piece. But it's it's on there pretty well, so I'm not worried about it coming off. Okay, now moving down to his legs, it looks like at his hips you just have standard back and forth articulation. And then at his knees you should have up and down. And there should be a rotation as well. And let's see here, at his ankles you have up and down and a rotation. So he has most of the articulation that most of the it's pretty standard for the Black Series figures. The only thing that's really kind of lacking is at his hips, but since he's a pilot, that's fine. He's just going to be sitting down, right? Okay, and then again, we have the helmet, and it's just flexible plastic, and there's no snapping or anything. You can see they actually have the chin strap on there and everything. It just slides right onto his head, and I think it's going to stay on there pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, good deal. Okay, and then the other thing I want to look at really quick, and it's going to be kind of hard because his gloves are black, but he has just the molding or of his hands. You can see they're pretty similar, but there's slight differences to them. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, not much. Just his hand his right hand is open a little bit more, and let's see how well he holds his blaster. If we can interchange it here, and I'm gonna have to get a little bit closer to my head on this thing. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, he's being stubborn here. Doesn't seem to be wanting to put this blaster back in his hand here. Okay, there we go. So I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it into his right hand, but you can see it's in his hand very well. It's very tight. And when you move the blaster, you're moving the character's hand, and that's what you want to see. And very good. It looks good. It looks to scale and everything. I really like this. But just real quick here, I want to see if I can force this thing into his other hand. Okay, very good. I just wanted to see, will he interact with it in both hands? And he does. Alright, so there's your figure, and we'll see how he interacts with the walker a little bit more and here in a second. But what I want to do is take another closer look at the walker, and I got to be honest, I'm pretty impressed with this thing so far. Just the detail and all the functionality of it. So let's start at the top here and work our way down. Okay, so I want to start at the top here, and so of course you have the hatch where the characters would get in and out of the vehicle, and it opens just by pulling it. There's no snapping or latch or anything that actually keeps it, but you can see they actually have it cut out with a little groove and everything, so it can sit nice and flat on the top and everything. That looks really good. And then of course, so it's not practical to get your figures in and out of the vehicle like that. So what you're going to do is you just stick your finger in here, and of course the whole top of the vehicle comes up, so you can put your figures in there and interact. And if you look in there real close, you can see there's actually stickers and everything that shows like components and workings. And the other thing I'm not seeing right off the bat, and you can't complain too much about this, I don't see any actual steering mechanisms in the cockpit for the characters to use, but there are very small pedals you can see, and there are what looks like very small joysticks in there. But you can also see the detailing, like they put in the seats and everything like that. There's texture on the seats, so that's very cool. So let's go ahead and stick our driver in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the blaster out of his hand. And what I want to do is, let's see how well he fits in there. So, okay. And let's just do it like it's a car. We'll put him in this seat. So fits in there fine. There's plenty of room. I don't have another one out of the box right now, but I'm sure if you did have another ATST pilot, he would fit right in there. No problem. And then this cool little detail here. It looks like they got like some kind of ammo or something stacked up on the back. Very cool. So then let's just close the lid. He is in there and good to go. And so going down from there, I pointed this out a little earlier, but one thing that I really like about this already is the actual cockpit viewing ports actually have working doors and everything, and you can see they'll actually sit very flat on the body. Same thing, they have a little groove cut out for them, so they sit nice and flat on the body. I just really like that feature. It's screen accurate, love it. So, and then coming down from there, you have of course, the weapon systems on the side, and you have full rotation on. I don't see any other movement or anything else they do. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything that moves or interacts on them, but you have what looks like a double-barreled blaster, and to me that looks like a little missile, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not totally sure what weapon system this is supposed to be, and I believe this is actually supposed to be a grenade launcher, and you can see it has like the multi-barreled system, like a minigun on there, and you get full rotation out of it. And it's like that on both sides, obviously. You get full rotation. And let's see here. Just spin it around so you guys can see it all the way around. And so, like we were talking about earlier, going down from there, you have the, center gun system, and you can see the range of movement you get out of it. It's not a whole lot. And as I was showing you guys earlier, you have interchangeable gun systems. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put the big one in here, and we'll see how that looks on it. And I think that's any measure going to look much cooler. So there you go, giant cannon sticking out the back, so you can change the gun system out. I love that feature. And I'm sorry, I can't stop looking at this thing. I keep seeing parts on it. I think move. I want to check them out. But anyway, so then let's look at the range of movements on that. So when you put the bigger one in here, as I was saying earlier, you don't get quite the same range of movement, but you can't really complain because look how big that gun is. But anyway, going in from there, I just want to spin it, show you guys the detail. And one of the things that's really interesting to me is if you look at the neck on it, it looks like it's made of rubber, but I'm feeling it, and it is actually hard plastic. But I just think that looks really cool. It's just very detailed. I'm really liking it. So I want to see if we get any kind of movement out of that other than spinning. So doesn't look like it. I thought maybe you might have a little up and down tilt, but no. So you get spinning. You can spin it, and if you look right here, and I try to spin the head all the way around, you can see the chin part is actually hitting the leg. So what I'm wondering here is if we can move the legs out of the way. And what I'm curious about is, does the head spin all the way around? And no, so what you get here, even if you lower the legs, you can see the back part of the body. The chin will start hitting there. So that's about your full range of rotation on the head. So it's pretty good. You don't get all the way around. And, I'm trying to see if you have any kind of... Feels like you should have some up and down movement. It doesn't really feel like it. It feels like I'm forcing it, and I don't want to snap the head off. So then going down, you can see the part underneath the head here is like this large, it's kind of just a big block piece or a rectangular piece, and then you can see how on the back it has that like angled shape to it. So that's your main body that the legs are attached to. And then from there, what's really interesting, because it's a lot more detailed than the walker I was comparing it to earlier, you can see how many points of articulation there are on these legs. So you have where it's attached to the body here, you have like this little little piece. I'm not even sure what a proper term for that would be, but then from there you have this little stem piece is connected to the main leg right here, and then you have what would be like, I guess, the knee of the leg right here. You have more articulation, and then down here you have more articulation, what would be the ankle or the lower part of the leg, and then you have even more articulation at what would more accurately be the ankle piece. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation on this thing, because look at what the legs do too. I'm just noticing this. You can swing them out that way, you can swing them out that way. That's pretty amazing. This is a pretty impressive little vehicle. And then so, as again, you have a point of articulation here. And it looks like you should be able to, well, you got to kind of put your thumb here to hold that into position, but you can see, well, okay, you don't get full all the way around. The little guard piece is hitting. You can see how far the legs will move. And you can actually feel them like snapping. There's little like gears where you can feel it snap into position. So there's like different positions it'll hold. And then when you go down to here, it should be the same thing. Let's see here. You can actually hear it clicking. Well, let's see what the full range is. You can almost tuck it all the way in. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, and there you go. So there's a very good range on here. And then down here, let's check that out again. You can hear it clicking. It snaps into position, or else this thing would be falling flat all the time. Very good. And then again at the ankle, you can actually hear that click really well. Pretty full range, or pretty good range. So, and then the other thing I'm looking at here is you have these wire cutters at the toe, and I'm trying to see if they move or have any kind of articulation to them, but they don't appear to. So, but you can see there's little, and what these are supposed to be are wire cutters that cut wires, for like, there you go. But and then just looking at the foot, you can see how detailed it is, and you can see it's got a little bit of browning on it, so it looks like it's been, you know, worn and aged and walked through the mud a little bit. But wow, this is pretty impressive. I'm loving the extended legs. I don't know what the point of that would be, but you know, if you wanted to, you can do that. But see, where it's attached here, you have a articulation where you can swing the legs back and forth, and you can also rotate them where they're connected to the body. So that's pretty cool. But very interesting. This is a lot of, and now I'm having a hard time getting this guy to stand again. Fiddled with the articulation so much. He does have a little bit of a floppy feel to him. So I'm trying to see why he won't stand. Come on, buddy. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, to get him to stand back up, there's so much articulation in this leg system that it's kind of floppy, and if you don't have the weight distributed just right, it kind of wants to sag over. So what I'm seeing you want to get going on here is this little, almost, you know, I can't think of the proper terminology for it, but this little in-between piece that connects the leg to the main body, you kind of want to have it shooting down at an angle, so the way you can get the legs underneath it, you have the weight straight up and down on the legs, because if you have the body too far forward, it's just going to flop forward. But this thing is capable of standing on its own. It can hold its own weight. But there you go, guys. I think we ran through everything. I think that is pretty much every point of articulation. We went through it here. But there you go, guys. There is your 3 3/4 inch Black Series Imperial ATST walker. And thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the videos we're making. And if you do, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Bye.